Can you hear it? Oh, okay. Yeah. So, okay, keep going with those drills. Yeah. So when we do this, we're not doing that. What we're doing is creating a position and then turning as a transition. And what we're doing is changing directions, right? When your hand is here, you're turning and redirecting. Right? So you don't want to do this. You're pulling a force, and if he hooks like this, he comes across, and I go like this, you're actually helping him. When he hooks, I want to do this. So I have to have a certain structure, integrity, position. So one of the things that we do when we do forms, and Tai Chi's exactly the same. The thing is, when we're doing movement, we don't really know how much strength we should use. In Tai Chi they say, use your mind and not strength. What does that mean? Use your mind and not strength. You're going to use your mind anyways, but not strength. How could that be possible? So it's not really not using strength, because our whole body is made up of skeleton and muscle. If you don't use strength, you can't actually move your bones. It takes a minute amount of strength to keep your skeletal structure intact. There's some tonus in there, and that happens just as a course of being alive. But the thing is, when we're using force, we don't really know how much force it takes. So we're doing movements in form, we're going through the motions, and then as you improve and your skill actually becomes sophisticated enough, then the amount of strength you use is measured. So how do you measure strength? You measure through experience and feeling. You really don't know. But when you do form, when it becomes soft and you integrate the body, or you're doing movement and it's soft, and you cross and you open and you thrust, what you're developing is a transition with structural integrity and position. So what does all of that mean? Structural integrity, position. Structural integrity comes down basically to the geometry of position. Triangles, squares, and circles. It carries through to how we manipulate our skeleton. You're in a horse stance, you're square. You're in a leaning stance, essentially the triangular position. When you're in a suspended horse, it's more triangular. When you go to horse stance and you're moving through, it becomes somewhat circular. So your feet kind of dictate direction. That's why we turn in a direction and we move. So that takes you toward your opponent. When you're using strength, when you do form, you know how much to use to regulate, to create the movement, and you develop timing. But you still don't know how much strength to use if there's a variable, external force coming toward you. So that becomes detecting. So if he comes with, let me stand over here, yeah, please, thanks. So when he comes across with a hook, I meet it, and even if it's coming forcefully, even harder, how do you know how much you need to absorb that? And your ability to absorb, he just comes straight across. I can stop it like that. That's force against force. If I put enough force, it just stops it. If he comes again, I absorbed it like this. If I take this, I neutralize it and I take it to here. So when this comes to here, I connect, and then it comes to here, and I turn. That's what you're trying to detect and utilize as your body mechanics. But you can't do that if there's excessiveness. I put more than I need. You can't change if I anticipate and commit. So when he comes in, I have the ability to move because I can change. I'm not really utilizing strength in one direction. It's multi-directional. So if I take his force and I go like this, I'm changing it like this, but you can't create that without your body moving. So that's what we're trying to learn doing form. When we do this, set up, turn, change direction, what we're doing is creating structures. This is more triangular. This becomes triangular with rotation. This becomes triangular with turning and unturning or reversing. When I go backwards and I turn, I go forward. But I just can't turn like this. You're actually creating a conflict in your movement. You have to create a movement where it's going to work with your body. So that's sinking your stance. In the down position, you don't have leverage here. You have to be on top of the position. So the movements that work with your body has to be compatible with direction. So that's what you're learning here. Now when I cross like this, I hollow and round the back and I open. Right? That's cutting hand. When I sink and I relax, I have to learn to thrust. When I open and I take my hands open like this and I turn, what have I maneuvered? I maneuvered like my wings. We see this moving, that's your hand. We see this moving, that's my upper arm. We see this moving, that's my forearm. They're all actually involved with the movement. You see this? It's moving because this is moving. See, so everything is involved because that's what the integration of body is. So when I'm here and I'm here, you're creating a position, so you have an advantage, right? This is a weak position because if he pushes, I have no support. So I have to take a position of advantage and I go this way, right? Because this is what you've learned. In the form, you're like this. You're like this. This is the direction. This is my leg, position, triangle, sit back, turn. So I'm here, and he attacks from here, and I go like this, I'm actually in a bad position. So if he's here, and he's coming here, you can sit back from here and turn. So when I turn, if I use my arm, I have to do this. This is turning this way. If my hand is this way, then I turn this way. And then I turn this way. See? So depending on where your position is, the situation, this or this really depends on where your hands are. If my hand is here, then it's here. My hand is here, it's here. If my hands are here, then it's here. Because you have to come in like this. Right? So this is coming like this. And then like this. So what do? You open, you close, you come down, and you come up. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's coming around like two hooks, 2 punches to the air, or just covering. Right? That's a double cover. And a double thrust. Right from Kungfu, right? So when you hear, not from Zhenjiang, Footwork also has it, but it comes in a different, comes like this. So this would be from the down to the up. So that would be cover, down, cut, thrust. Coming back is this, right? I don't pull back to here unless I do this. See? So if I come like this and then come like this, or like this, you have 1, 2, 3. Every position is a modification of a position. So I'm here, 1, 2, 3. Depends on his, if he goes back, then you need to change your hand. You see? So that's moving from position to position. Because we have this, we have this, each one of those becomes a movement off of the next previous movement. So the drills really teach you how to repeat and then discover the timing. So even though the form is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you have to take this one as two directions, as two different techniques, yet they become together. So we blend it, and then you sort of break it up into pieces, then you put it back together. So each time you break up a piece, they become fragmented. Then if it's in your body, then if I go like this, I go like this, I go like this, I go like this, I drew off of those fragments because they're bits and pieces that have been, absorbed into your body just from the repetition and that subconscious action. It's in there. It becomes reflex. My hand is like this. How do I know to do this? You're here, this is here. This. How does this hand know to do? Because I've been doing this so much over a period of time. Not that I do it, day in and day out. I probably didn't do this. This is the first time I did it today, actually, probably. So neither was one. I'm like that. So this is stuff that we know. We just worked on that. So this hand is always there because we have it. This hand is always there. This hand is always there. It's always the same reasoning for being there, because if I throw a punch at him, boom, and he blocks, I left myself exposed. So there's only two places he's going to go. He's either going to go here or here. If he goes here, I can't do this because I can feel he has my hand. So if I punch and he goes there, then this hand has to come up. Now if he has this hand, I have this option because he left himself open. So if you build enough sort of intelligence in your action, you know from feeling that this can go here. If he presses it, it's even better. If he doesn't press, then I have this hand. See? So if he takes his hand away, then I have this follow. So that's kind of a response that you have to experience. But this is give and take. Okay? So if I give it to him, he takes it, then he absorbs it. He gives it, I absorb it. See? If he takes my hand, then I respond like this. Because when he turns here, you see, this is where this comes into play. If he grabs my hand and he strikes here, okay, there he pressed. But if he strikes, I have to use my hand, my elbow. See, now if I'm in this position, I have to drop to do this because I have to relax my shoulder in order to do this. That's why these little things that we're doing in the forms are so critical, but yet, it's overlooked because the body doesn't recognize what that's supposed to be doing. So the drills actually help a lot with that. And so this is a level of understanding more than just a physical thing. Because on a physical side, we can do this, but the thing is you're trying to experience the motion, the cross, the open, the thrust, the push, the hook. Now I just put a little bit more intensity in it because that has to be a position that you go to, and it knows it. It goes here. It goes there. You know it, and you know it. So your body develops that muscle memory, because when someone throws a punch, you're like that. This actually comes very fast. But you can't overreact, because I'm here. It's there, but not anticipated. It just has to be there. Now, when's it going to react completely? When it touches. When his hand hits my hand, then I know, you see. So that's how your body responds. Because when I see that, my hand is coming this way, you see. So you say, well, you left it open. Well, that's it. Because if my hand is here and I stop, then he's going to hit me here. But this is going to disrupt it. Because that wouldn't be in his shoulder. It would actually be there. So while he's getting hit there, he's not going to be hitting there. You see, that's why when you respond, it's really like that. It's already almost simultaneous. See, so when you're here, it's there, and then you're here, then it comes up. So that's why it's kind of a reflex. So let's just give you an idea of these things is how we train. So we'll do it slowly, but still have strength when we need it, and you vary it in your practice. It's not always set. What mine is doing is just giving you a scenario where you practice it like that, giving you a method of drilling. So I'm going to do a few more of those. So people don't like to do drills because they seem kind of bored, but that's actually, how you do it. Okay, ready? Yeah. You can change up some different ones, Yeah. Yeah. Uppercut, sliding step punch. Boom. Boom. So what's important in this? That this is here, this is here. This. Look at the secondary hand. For every action that happens here, something happens here. Boom. Boom. You see, this has to know how to do its movement, because where did that action come from? Well, good, right? So when you're here, I turn, I move, boom, right here. So when you're here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's always something going on these sides. So that's what body intelligence is. You develop intelligence on every movement on each side of your body, and it knows how to react. Because if you go like this, you punch, what do you do when something comes here? This has to move. But when are you going to figure out how to move? When are you going to figure that out? You don't have time. So you have to have it innately in the movement. Here. 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 When I'm here, right? If I'm here, and he punches here. Actually, this already responded. I don't use this one. It looks like I'm doing this, right? But actually, my transition is here. See? So there's no movement on left. There's no void left. It's just a constant blending of that. So it's just how you evolve. But that's kind of give you some insight as why when we do a form, we have one hand's like this, which is the one we copy. The other hand's the one that needs to get smarter. So that's just, right? So now do you see, we do have a final position. If we squat, we have to come here. 1, 2, 3. So in Muay Thai, we're here. Boom. That's footwork. You learn it like this, and go like this,
and you go like this. But when you're here, that's your first position, because how else are you going to move? So, you can't teach a new person that, because how are they going to do that? They can't even do this. But this is something that became part of your evolving. Here, then you're here, right? Once you get down here, you have to move up. And here, then you're here. That's what your legs have to learn to do. But what happens to your legs is, because it's transitional, your legs have to be able to take that strenuous motion. Because to come to here, you have to be able to absorb and then move back, so your muscles actually work differently. That's a response. If you go like this after 10 times or half a dozen, and you feel like you can't move your leg again, it's over, right? So, advice is come up the back way, one more flight of stairs. Friday, yeah. So that's what that is. Yeah. So, anyways, that's footwork. While we get through upper hand movements, this is what that is. Right. So that's when we sit back. When you move, there's a little bit of shift of weight that allows you to be agile on your feet. So agility to footwork. Your feet, the feet have to move. So that's shifting weight, but leave the air space between the shift, so that you're unweighted, you're like floating. If you go like this, that's time. You lose time by going off the ground a half an inch. So you go to a quarter inch, you lose less time. So, but even a shuffle is actually even more efficient, right? When you go like this, so your sliding stance should be practiced like that, just to get your feet sort of conditioned to move, right? So while we do all the upper body this, what do we do for this? What do we do for this? So that's footwork, controlling your feet, your knees, and your hips. So, right, so your feet have to stay parallel, leaning. That's what has to happen in your feet. Because your feet are not, and you're sluggish on your feet. You can't get in and out quick enough, because your feet are they're still clumsy. You have to avoid that, yeah. Because it's a conditioning. Muscles are really stupid. They don't really know what it's supposed to do. This kind of is the smartest part, so that's what has to happen. So you're really building motor skill, but recruiting the correct musculature is really part of training. And we can only recruit it if we know that we should recruit it, right? So if it doesn't know, it doesn't go anywhere. So, all right, let's do Footwork. Just enough time to do Footwork as far as you can. Ready? All right, go.
grab, thrust, sink. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Step, kick, left. Okay, good. Deep breathing. So, we have a lot of palm strike, cross hands in the first form, double palm strike. Waist strikes are always fingertips out, just like when we go here. And the reason for that is because if you strike down like that, tips will hit before your palm. So it's just, just the reason, because anatomically you can't really hit with your palm. The only way you hit with the palm here going low is like this. Like this. When you go to the chest or higher, then the hand is like this. Like when we do first form, back fist, and the palm is like this. Then we go high. Now as you progress, you have these corner palms. Now this is off to the side, but has a specific name. It's called a pu pai siu. But this is those two corner movements. The waist movements in the fourth one are like this. But when we go to Fu Hak and do the 10 tigers, this palm goes up to about your solar plex, and it not like this, just up to about here. It could be a little high in your solar plex, and it goes upward and it's off the back leg. That makes it a single tiger claw. When you go to a leaning stance and you push, it comes straight down like this from the shoulder down. It doesn't come from the waist up. So that's what differentiates the double tiger from the single tiger.
sometimes a double tiger might look like it's turning like this, because you are essentially turning, but you still have the projection going forward, but it comes from here. So this is like it's going down, this is going up. The black tiger goes across, and it's shorter. So there's those three movements. It shows up in 10 images when you do the black tiger, and then you have the 10 tigers after. But the black tiger we have in the other forms, which is really this cross hand one, and it comes from big cover and around. From here, when we stomp, this hooks down and it comes up. So what goes down, the other side goes up. When we're up and we turn, this covers, and then we project forward and down. So that gives you the tiger coming downward like that. So that's important to be able to distinguish those three movements. So you don't do a double tiger and the hand goes up like that, because this is designed to strike in to the solar plex. This is designed to strike down like this, or disrupt and push. Okay, something like a brush knee. A brush knee is similar to that. So, that's important, because the 10 tigers are just doubles and singles mixed, and then in certain parts of the form where you have the big and the cover and the black tiger, they go as a combination. So those are three tiger movements. Then the claw is always on the front foot typically. It's always off the front leg. So between this and this is how you distinguish a tiger claw from a dragon claw, because the dragon claw is always off the front foot. So that's something that's some of the characteristic of those movements. So just to understand that as a fundamental. Between a dragon claw is always off the front leg, as a leaning stance. Double tiger is always off the back leg. See, I mean, it might not be something that anyone thinks about, but I was taught like that. I was told, my Sigung told me distinctly, that's that. So I might have said it over a period of time too. We always talk about it, but sometimes it goes in one ear, it goes out the other, and then if you don't hear it again, because every class is not the same information, then it gets lost. So winghung jiao is this. This is the dragon claw. So while we have this in the first form, you have this in kungfu as the dragon. Winghung jiao is a golden dragon swallows the claw, like something like that translated. Okay, so we're gonna bow. Up. Yeah.